Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys! Whoops, I may have cracked the microphone. Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host, Matt Marrero, along with your other host,
Satish Ram. I don't have a witty comment. It's Steven Universe.
Yes, so we're very behind, as you may notice. We're just wrapping up Season 2, which is pretty damn cool. And then sooner rather than later, we'll also be starting on Season 3. Now, here's something very sad, at least it makes me sad. So I've seen these episodes, yes, right? That's obvious. But I've yet to see anything from Season 3 or Season 4. So I'm really hyped to, kind of get this podcast rolling. Not obviously this one, because, I'm not sitting here like, we have to get this out of the way. But, like, once this is over, I'm really happy to be doing some more Steven Universe. So I'm just putting that out
Good for
there.
you.
Now, yes. But I do want to mention, speaking of Steven Universe, as always, right, it's been a while, so you guys may have not heard us do one in a while. But as always, right, we're doing them in TV air date order, not in production order. And the reason why I always push this, you're like, Matt, why? Because, one day in the future, hopefully someone will be listening to our podcast, right? And they'll be looking up, different databases, and they'll be showing production order. And I just really don't fathom why you would show production order. Like, I really don't. Like, at least for someone like us, it just doesn't make any sense. When they're put on DVD, Season 1, Season 2, and if they're on production order there, which usually DVDs do put things in production order, I get it. Makes sense. But I have no idea why you're going to have databases that list production order, episode order, and air date. And people are going to be looking at all three and going, wait, but that's off, but that's also off, but that's also off. To the point where right now we would be doing episode 22, but we're actually doing 25 to 29. Like, I get it. It makes one season look better when you throw the ones that were supposed to be aired then back then. But, I mean, that's just, the way it is the way it is, right? It's 25 to 29 that we're doing today. We are doing The Answer. We are doing Steven's Birthday. We're doing Message Received. We are also doing, let me make sure, we're doing Log Dates. Oh, and of course, before Message Received, we're doing It Could Have Been Great. So we're going to obviously breeze through these because we're just going to talk about general concepts rather than going in depth like we usually do. But yeah, so that's how we're doing it. If you have, you want to hear any earlier episodes, then please, listen to our earlier podcasts. Now, talking about these 5 episodes, just for a split second, I want to ask you, Satish, throw the ball in your court. Which one did you like the most?
Okay, let's see. That's a tough one. So let me do this out loud because it's 5 episodes, so it's hard.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The message was Garnet telling Steven about how she became
The
Garnet.
Answer.
The message.
Answer.
God damn it. I confused that with Message Received. But yeah, The Answer is Garnet's story. It Could Have Been Great was Steven and Peridot's song, right? Because that's all I remember from the episode in terms of I want to talk about it badly.
Other than the moon base that Ronaldo mentioned?
Moon base. What?
I'm pretty sure Ronaldo said, and there's a base on the moon, or something like that. We were all like, oh, silly Ronaldo.
Mm-hmm. From way back. Way back.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
The next episode is, give me the name.
The next episode, well, it was The Answer, then Steven's Birthday. Then it
Steven's Birthday. Steven's Birthday was kind of cute, actually, because I really like Steven Connie stuff.
Yes.
And then, It Could Have Been Great is the moon base, and then Message Received is Return from Moon Base, which is Peridot.
Yes.
This is a tough one. I like Steven's Birthday a lot.
And then Log Date.
Log Date was cute, too. Log Date was cute, too, because of Peridot building. But I like Steven's Birthday a lot because, one, it's a good perspective on the fact that Steven's still really young, so he still doesn't understand everything as well as he could. So him pushing himself to, forcibly be stretched the entire episode, I thought was really interesting because it was him basically saying, I need to be older. And it was a really nice take on the stressors of, being at that age. And then Connie, of course, reacting to the fact, he's a year older, and there was this whole little thing going on, he might not grow. And it shows that he's still, as much as he is still growing, he is very afraid, very confused. He doesn't know what's going on, and neither do the Gems and Greg and Connie. And so that was probably the one that I'd say is my favorite out of this bunch. Not saying any of them were bad.
But it's kind of funny, though. You're saying, oh, but he's still so young. No. Please remember, dude, that our initial reaction to him being 14 was actually how old he was. We were Connie. Connie was the audience insert, and it was done so well because, you know, we truly, all of us, I think everyone, the internet, no one sat there.
Literally everyone. Yeah,
maybe some
I think
people.
That's a fair bet.
Maybe some people. So we're just like, no, I guessed it, you know, because everyone guesses everything when it comes to this show. So there's at least someone that was like, no, I got it. Like one person. But, like, everyone was surprised because, you know, why would Steven not be 11 to 12, honestly?
And we had a birthday before. So it sort of makes sense because this is the second birthday episode. And
so that means he would be 14. He was 13. He was 12 when the show started.
That, which makes sense, right? Because 11 and 12 is a good assumption. So he turns 13 and he turns 14. It's like, oh, that makes sense. We also got to hear the voice actor actually use his regular puberty voice, which was kind of cute.
Hilarious. Yes. Because you could tell that, at least in the beginning of the show, like not only in the pilot, but just in the beginning in general, that the voice changed as it went on because the actor potentially did go through puberty.
Yeah, and you can tell by the voice, if you listen to the Steven voice when Steven is, like, stretched, that's his actual voice now. So you can hear that, you know, he has hit puberty and his voice has changed, which is kind of a funny testament to how long this show has been going on.
But it changed early on, which I think was even funnier. It's just the harshness of getting an actual child to be an actor/voice actor. That's why usually they'll go for women to just voice over little boys and little girls.
Right, which it's kind of funny when you think about it. It wasn't something that occurred to me until, like, let's say a couple of years ago, where I realized, like, why wouldn't you just get a boy of that age to do it? Puberty. Duh.
I mean, remember, dude, you know, you being a fan of Fullmetal Alchemist, they got a new voice actor from the first series into the second series, the first series being just Fullmetal Alchemist, second one being Brotherhood. They got a new voice actor for Al because the kid grew up.
Yeah, I got to remember these things. In my head, everyone's just in this little bubble.
Yeah, no, because, again, in your head, they're older voice actors. So you don't sit there and go, oh, Johnny Young Bosch, he's going through puberty right now. Oh, he's going through British puberty. That's why he's doing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. No.
Puberty. I like how that's a distinctive thing compared to puberty.
Well, because I don't know, I'm assuming he doesn't do the voice for, like, young 8-year-old, 12-year-old Jonathan Joestar, but he does the adult, because I've seen that in trailers. I haven't seen the episode yet. So I know that it's just like, Dio! And I'm like, oh, you're trying. Like, he's good, but like, oh, you're not British. You're not. Oh, you're a Power Ranger. You're not British. Johnny Young Bosch is a great voice actor. Anyway, so talking about Steven's birthday, though, yeah, I thought that was really cool to kind of show off. Also, Connie wasn't there for the first birthday either.
Right.
So, yes. So, no, but the point is that she didn't even see one of them. So to us, just like, again, even if he was 12 when the show started, he would be 14 now, and it makes sense. But what I like is I've made a lot of parallels to this show and Dragon Ball Z, and this is very reminiscent of during the first World Tournament arc when it was revealed, because they had to ask all the competitors' age, that Goku miscounted. He was like, wait, no, I'm 14. And he had done a lot of weird, perverted stuff in the beginning of the show because of how innocent he was. But we looked at him like, oh, you're just a 10-year-old boy. And then he revealed he was 12. But it was still like, oh, but still, you know, you're prepubescent. You're so innocent. You don't get it. But really, he was 14. He was just tiny. And, again, he was so innocent that he just didn't get what he did was wrong. And if you remember the one scene in particular, if you're confused, Satish, because I know your memory is faulty occasionally, but it's the scene where, like, just one of, but the scene where he was just like, oh, no, because he was laying on Bulma's, on Bulma. He was laying on her crotch. And in his head, because he lived with his uncle, quote-unquote, spoiler, he's not from Earth. So his uncle, quote-unquote, Grandpa Gohan. And so he lived with him, and basically it was like, yes, old man, young boy, who, even though he's a spaceman, anatomically is human, right? So it's kind of like, penis. It's just that simple. just male. So all of a sudden he was like, wait a minute, but your balls are missing. But the way it came off, Bulma wakes up and goes, wait, what, the Dragon Balls?
Mhm.
And because the thing is, again, he's laying on her, and he's just like, oh, this is nice. He's like, wait a minute. And he pulls her panties off because he's like, wait, what's going on down? Oh, my God.
And that scene was either censored or edited for the American thing, right?
Well, two things. One, very much so. Two, remember that when Dragon Ball, the series overall, picked up very hard in America, they'd had jumps to Z anyway.
Right.
So they were already at Dragon Ball Z when the show actually gained traction on Toonami. So they actually skipped Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball came out, quote-unquote, later. They had attempted to do Dragon Ball early on, and then it just never worked because they either changed the names, like Goku became Zero, was really fucking bad, or it just didn't get picked up in general. But anyway, so it's very nice to see like little parallels. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but we know that they're huge anime fans over there. You know, the Creative Steven Universe. Not just Rebecca Sugar, who loves One Piece, but just overall, you know, a lot of anime fans creating Steven Universe. So it is kind of nice to see that same feeling of like, just like, oh, you know, they're so innocent that it's just like, yeah, I'm 14. Why? It's like, wait, what? Because when you think of a 14-year-old or someone even turning 14, like, yes, I look at some of my students and I'm like, you're children. Like, literally, like, obviously they're all, you know, teenagers, but, like, I look at the ones that are 14 freshmen, I'm like, you are babies.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But some of them are not. Right? Some of them are just like, no, yeah, like, you're a teen. And then you treat them accordingly. Yes, and then you sit on, you know, on your, you sit on your like lawn chair and yell at them from the curb accordingly.
I'd like a lawn and or a chair. That would be really nice.
Yes. So anyway,
having a lawn chair would be proof of real progress. But having a lawn or a chair would be nice. But go on.
Very true, very true. Like just accurate, I guess. I don't know what the fuck. So the answer, I want to talk about that because I think that it's just really cool that in that episode we learned a lot more about Homeworld.
And racism.
Yes. Also, very strange to only see two rebels. Like, I know that they're still rebels regardless, but, like, it's like if you and I were like, we're rebelling against society. You're two people. What do you... Like, I don't know, it's just funny to me.
The reason it's relevant is because... although Pearl is relatively replaceable according to like the course of these episodes, right? Rose Quartz was a high-ranking officer, so it's not like you and me. You and me rebelling would be like a Pearl and a Pearl, but Rose Quartz and Pearl rebelling is like the equivalent of like let's say Joe Biden,
a general,
and like you rebelling. So,
I'm sorry, I just imagine either Joe Biden rebelling or Joe Biden's face on Rhodes Quartz.
There's something for the Photoshop machine. But,
Jesus Christ.
No, but Joe Biden
Joe Universe
makes this a lot more viable because that's why, and also they're very, very well equipped, as you can tell, in terms of their battle skills.
What are you saying? Oh, yeah. It's like, fuck you talking about Biden.
I have no idea about Biden's equipment otherwise.
I was like, where is this going?
But he sure does have a mouth on him. Anyway, so yeah.
Very true. But anyway.
A lot of parallels to racism in this episode. You know, as much as I made that sound like a joke. And I thought that was really intriguing.
Or if not,
or a caste
racism,
system.
Yeah, well, definitely a caste system. That's, I think, a better term. Definitely a caste system. And definitely this idea of others equal bad. You know, and other as in, even though I'm sure fusions do happen, and I'm sure they were only reacting to it because, like you said, caste system, it still felt like them looking at the fusion overall was just with utter disgust.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at you want to use something like India's caste system in place as a comparison, right? You have like peasants, you have Brahmins, you have high-ranking officials, etc. So the system is usually based like if you work at a caste system, it could be like the same religion. So let's say all the Hindus, based on as I was a Hindu, are in that caste system. If a Hindu person tries to marry someone who is like of Islamic faith, that's kind of shunned upon. Now, I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about more back in the day. There are still some uncomfortabilities with that now, but I don't really know the current state of India's caste system, so I don't look to comment on it. But basically, the fusion is the idea of like an interracial or intercultural marriage. And so that comes off as like shun the non-believer or like shun the weird. That's not something that should happen. And part of the reason that that's confusing and perhaps is relevant here too is that let's say you marry a different religion, you marry across castes, right? Or you fuse across castes here. Where does the evident combination end up?
Yeah.
So it's the idea of Garnet representing both Ruby and Sapphire. Sapphire was high-ranking, Ruby was a replaceable soldier. Where does the combination end up? Because that combination is part Ruby, so they can't take the high-ranking part that Sapphire had, but at the same time they're part Sapphire. So they can't just take replaceable soldier form that Ruby had.
When you put it like that, it actually reminds me of, and it's such a weird thing to compare to Steven Universe, but it reminds me of apartheid. It just reminds me of this.
No. That's exactly it.
Children.
Those are the parallels.
Yes,
that they're talking about in this episode.
What do you do? Yeah,
exactly. This is why this episode is so incredible, because
also,
that's what they're putting out there.
Yes, something that we should definitely reference though and not leave out, even though it's been referenced before. We brought it up before. Even though there are no genders specified for any of these gems, it definitely parallels, LGBT acceptance and discrimination as well. Like, I don't think we should just focus on politics when not focusing on the LGBT community because, again, no actual genders assigned to them. But it seems as if with gems, they usually go down a female anatomy type, like if that's what you're trying to
or
identify.
At the very least, they go with female pronouns.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. That's a better way to put it, female pronouns. So, so just bringing that up as well, I don't want to leave anyone out, right? Because definitely, there was a lot of talk about this. I mean, there was a lot of talk when we had Stevonnie as well. But this definitely, because, we already knew about Garnet and, Garnet being a fusion, which is kind of funny. Steven just, are you going to tell me about it? Like,
oh, I love that.
It was just,
are you going to finally tell me that you're a fusion? It's like, you ass. You complete ass.
But
my main takeaway from that episode was just this parallel to the caste system and this, and even apartheid. I can see where you're getting at there because it is.
When you mentioned the mixed, like where did it go? I was like, oh God,
where do they end up? And that's what's so confusing, I think, immediately about the fusion, because and also on top of that, they had never used it as they never used fusion across gems. According to what was portrayed, that was the first cross-gem fusion. So the commentary on fusion itself, like, wow. But
well, because it's a very futuristic, cold society. It's one of those kind of Orwellian futures from the looks of it, right? It's not there. They're not there to be warm and fuzzy. They don't need that. That doesn't help bring. I mean, think about it, right? Them being kind and cute and fuzzy and all that junk wouldn't help them advance their race. And in theory, right, if you're going to look at it that way, doing that hurts their race or hurts their advancement in the world because they're not colonizing Earth. Of course, again, you and I, because we are, we don't just look at things, quote-unquote, rationally. We actually have fucking feelings. We sit there and we're like, but at what cost? Right? But to them, they're just like, at any cost. What do you mean? It's not our cost. It's not our people.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a little bit later, a couple episodes down, but still relevant to the overall narrative. Now, I want to mention that I love Garnet's cotton candy hair. Like, I just love that design overall. I know it was their original design, like, eventually they iron things out, but I honestly love that design a lot. Like, not only is that just, like, a beautiful look, I guess, just a color palette, I just think it would be an amazing cosplay as well. Like, overall, I think it was so cool. So I wanted to mention that. Like, just overall, I really enjoyed that. And I love that Blue Diamond's voice was dubbed by Garnet. Now, the reason why I love that, right, is because I think it was genius. And I say that because let's look at the Naruto anime, right, which is so confusing. A lot of anime references today. And I'm only referring to the English dub because I have no idea how this works in the Japanese dub. But at one point, I know you don't really watch the anime, but I know you've seen clips, Satish. You love the video games, though. When they were foreshadowing, the Akatsuki, right? And they had this scene where it was completely dark. You just saw their silhouettes, and they were kind of sitting at like a round table. And each one of them had a line, like, oh, ho, ho, we're going to appear. Ah, ha, ha, yes, we will. Right? It was just like that. And each one of them had different voice actors. No shit, Sherlock, right? But the problem is that it was so early on compared to when they actually appeared. In the English dub, a few of them had to be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know when they're going to show some of these gems, but it is very smart of them to just have Garnet narrate the dialogue and worry about their voice actors later.
Yeah,
like I don't know if they thought about it in that way, but it's still smart regardless.
Yeah, and it's also was only going to be one line. So it's not like, you skip ahead a couple episodes, you see Yellow Diamond has a voice actor, and it's probably because there was an entire exchange,
Mm-hmm.
But
Wait,
Blue
it was
Diamond
yellow? I thought it was
had...
blue.
No. Yeah, I'm talking about two different diamonds. Later on in Message Received,
yes,
Paradox,
yes.
So Yellow Diamond gets a voice actor because of the fact that there's a full exchange there. Blue Diamond, however, it's just the one line. So why spoil the voice actor now? Why get all that together? No. Just have that quick
especially
double
if,
line.
Yeah, especially if, I don't know, you never know what can happen, right? You never know what can happen. And, I mean, it's just a lot smarter to just wait on that. And then when you need her fully, great, get the voice actor in to keep on doing it. Not that I'm sitting here going, oh, no, the voice actors will never appear again. But still, it's just a crazy thing. You never know what can happen. You never know how it can work. And, I mean, it was just crazy to think that, you see that foreshadowing, and you're like, okay, so these are the voices for the Akatsuki. And then just God knows how many episodes later, it's like, wait, how many of them did they change? I'm pretty sure it was like 3 or 4.
Mm.
Heck, even 2 or 3, it's still jarring enough to be like, look, I know you only had like 3 lines anyway, but I had to dissect those lines completely because I'm an anime fan. So now I have to dissect this new guy's lines, and it's just terrible. Also, by the way, the story in general, like with the song and everything, it's just so beautiful. Like every time I see it, I either almost cry or I cry. Just being honest. It's just such a beautiful thing. Like, I just love just the way they set it up, all the lines. Like, they knew that they sat there. They were like, yeah, no, we're just going to set this up so that everyone's just going to get their heartstrings tugged on and go and fuck them. In the nicest way possible, right? Just, fuck you guys. And every time I watch it, I'm just like, fuck you guys, too. Because it's such a beautiful moment. Now, is there anything you want to mention more about either this episode or Steven's birthday?
Yeah, I'll talk a little about Steven's birthday just for a moment. They always toy with a little romantic stuff between the two of them, and I hate it because this was another one where it's like, shit, are they going to kiss? Are they going to do something here?
Satish, we throw one hell of a party. I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite lines. Just like, Pearl's like, oh, Steven's having fun, as like Connie is cuddling him, basically. And I love it, because Garnet knows exactly what's going on. Pearl is apparently still somewhat oblivious to the fact that they are, like, clearly falling for each other.
No, the two of them will get married and have a baby when they're, like, in their 30s. And Pearl will be like, oh, my God, that's so cool. So did you guys, like, summon that or something? How did that work?
And someone will have to. But, see, that's also another thing. I really liked the tie-in with Greg at the end and taking Steven for a drive. Because, you know, I've talked a lot. I really hate the useless cartoon dad trope. And I really think that this is one of those places that it's almost easier to do it because Greg, of course, being pure human compared to the gems, is out of his element on a lot of these things, especially things like missions. But it makes perfect sense for a situation like that, for the Gems to have no idea how to handle a baby, and for Greg, on the other hand, to know pretty much everything about it. So he just calmly, puts Steven in and decides to take him for a ride. And I really love that because he got to be a parent. He got to look at Connie and be like, hey, I can take you home. It's okay until this is over. And Connie, of course, is like, no, I want to be here. But it was a really nice moment because Greg's one of my favorite characters, and so I really appreciated that. And Connie's interactions, too, with him and with Steven also, just basically, I like you the way you are. I like you all the time. Like, it's very sweet. Their childish innocent love is, like, heartwarming and beautiful.
Yeah. And it's really wonderful to see, and I was happy to have that. I was happy to have that be the general theme of the episode by the end. Not that it was going to be any different. Like I wasn't expecting Connie to go. Honestly, I would have preferred when you were taller. Just be taller, little shit. So like I knew that wasn't going to be the end. I mean, I was crossed my fingers. I was like, I don't remember it being the end the first time, but things happen. Re-releases happen. Director's cuts. I mean, just look at Lucas. I don't know what's going to happen here, But yeah, so everything ended the way I remembered, and it was really sweet because you have Steven trying so hard, and you even have her in a way being like, oh, he's taller, and he, wow, and it sucked because it kind of fed into that. Accidentally, it fed into that paranoia and into those issues, right? But believe me, as a short guy, I understand that feeling, Ram. I understand the feeling. Fans at home. Just yeah, but it's okay. So anywho, getting back to the episode though, talking about the useless dad trope. You can take some, there's jokes that can happen, like you can laugh occasionally, but like what we've had happen, and I'm not saying it in a negative way, like oh my god, like if I can sit here and just be like, dads in America need to stand up, like no, come on, relax, like TV shows. But I have to admit, looking at something like The Simpsons, not early Simpsons, because early Simpsons, Homer fucked up, but he tried. Right? But, like, I can't pick out the exact season, but I'll just say Simpsons overall, even though you guys know what I mean. And Family Guy. Right? Now, again, it can be funny, right, every once in a while, but it gets to the point where it's just so much. Where it's just so much. So, and like you said, in this show, it is actually very easy for a show like this, a very feminist show, to fall into and I mean that in a good way, not in a bad way, to fall into a trap of like, yes, the stupid man. And it's like, no, like he's still his dad. And I think that's what I respect, and I think that's what some people out there, some people out there, men and women alike, sit there and just be like, oh my God, these feminists, oh, they're just man haters, all of them. It's like, slow your roll. Like, really think about what you're saying. Because you can have a show just like this that isn't pandering to any communities. It's just giving this worldview that, I mean, I think people like you and I really kind of vibe with, we agree with, right? Where it's like, hey, the women can be strong and powerful just like the men. I mean, just going back, I can't remember how many episodes at this point, but having Connie fight side by side with Steven is one of the best things I think that you could really see on family television. Like something to really just promote to the kids and also remind the adults, like, hey, assholes, right? Like, it doesn't have to be, oh, I will die for him, as if he can't fight or as if she, can fight any better. It's like, no, they're fighting with each other. And it's like, good shit, right? So overall, I really enjoy the themes of this show, especially in an episode like this, because, yeah, right, gems are just made as gems. They're just kind of popped, like they're just born. Just like, there you go, you're a gem. Maybe you're in some kind of like hibernation chamber or something like that to kind of speed up growth process if need be. But it's not like, oh, yes, and then here is the mother and the father, and they will, it's like, no, it's like Steven probably needed milk. You know what I mean? Like Steven needed like mashed like peas and carrots and shit. And the gems are just like, like, what do we do? So it's great to just be like, hey, for the longest time, Greg was like super dad. And then it turned into like, okay, he's old enough to, stay with you guys while I'm at work.
Yeah, and I mean, he was a single dad.
Yes. He had them to help, but like, my God, what he had to say to them. Just, don't do that. It's going to kill him. Oh, God. Right? I would love a show just based on that. I would love episodes just based on him trying to raise Steven. with them just like lighting the house on fire.
Don't
I want to
do
mention
that.
something.
It's going to kill him.
Yeah. No, fire kills. Anyway, I want to mention something. So when Steven turned into a baby, I literally thought he melted. Like, none of you understand. I just watched Videodrome, which, if you guys don't know, it's a Cronenberg film. So I literally thought Steven was melting, and I was freaking the fuck out. And I was like, right, he turns into a baby. But anyway, so let's jump into It Could Have Been Great, because it could have, Satish. No, it actually was a good episode. In fact, I'm happy that we're focusing on Peridot more, because like you said, you know, some of these episodes are very much Peridot focused, at least the last 3. And they kind of needed to be, because the first 2 were very much like, oh yeah, you know, we're going to have all this fun. The Peridot isn't the fun type. So she's going to, you know, work on the ship, or work on the drill, i.e., we're not having her in the episode at all. And I kind of sat back and I was like, oh, that's weird. Right? Like 2 episodes straight. She's like barely in both episodes. So it was a nice refresher. It was nice and refreshing, rather, to have her in these last 3 and have them be a 3-part arc in a way, or at least if you don't want to count, It Could Have Been Great. Message Received and Log Date be a 2-part arc, because of the fact that I do think that Log Date was very much a lull of an episode to kind of end season 2 on. Might have been better if it ended with Message Received. But overall, I do enjoy Log Date, and I do enjoy how they ended it, simply because I don't know where else Log Date could have been.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, I haven't seen season 3, but I assume if they're going to end it with Log Date, season 3 might begin with a little bit more of a punch. Again, I haven't seen it. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, when we do the episode, then I'll be able to talk about it. But I feel like they begin it with a little bit more of a punch rather than just, oh, no, it's going to be another Peridot filler. Quote-unquote filler development, whatever you might want to refer to it as. But, yeah, so I have to say, when it comes to just It Couldn't Be Great, I liked them focusing on Peridot. I like seeing the moon base, and I liked seeing something off with her, because you and I have talked about this idea that it's nice to see characters that aren't just making complete 180s and having a little bit of a struggle. Not too long, right? Not something that would last for another, let's say, 2 seasons and be so bad that it's just like, oh my God, you know, just be with the gems at this point. But it's nice that you could have it be, you know, like, oh, it looks like she's fine, right? Because he got over that. It's like, no, she still has this ingrained in her.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This idea that Homeworld is amazing, and by God, you know, they're infallible. Like, what can you do to stop them? In fact, it's better off we work with them because it's hopeless. It's like that's what she's had ingrained in her since birth, and it's pretty silly to just say that in, like, you know, 3-4 episodes. It's like, I've been cured. Right? So it's nice to have episodes like It Could Have Been Great and the subsequent 2, or at least Message Received, to kind of bring you back to their reality. Right? But anyway, how do you feel about these 2 episodes? Specifically, It Could Have Been Great.
So It Could Have Been Great led off with one of the songs I've really thoroughly enjoyed in this series, just because it was cute. Like, just because it was cute. And I think I just really love the presentation of the song, because you had Steven teaching her, who is Peridot being pretty robotic, music, and she immediately picked up the scales, because she's like, okay, A, B, C, and I thought that was cute. But also just the overall, like, life and death and love, it's cute. And then Peridot joins in and basically, you know, has what I thought was a moment, like, hey, I think you're all crazy, but I am too. Like, I am a part of you.
Yeah.
And then you had each of the characters singing the line, and I was like, that's cute. They really presented the song really nicely to me. It was also very clear that, you know, we've talked about this, that Steven being younger and being who he is sometimes beneficial to the fact that he, being relatively nonviolent, is somewhat really helpful, because you have these hardened gems like Garnet, Pearl, Amethyst, who have been through the war. So they're pretty tough. They're pretty, like, they can be triggered. And you look at the scene with Garnet and Peridot, and it could have been great as one of those where, like, Steven's able to be like, hey, worth it. You know, it's not Steven getting mad. It's not, but it's Garnet. And that's a really interesting turnaround to have Steven be the one saying, like, hey, it's not worth it to the adult.
Yeah. It's very interesting to look at, especially, because, I mean, it's not just the adult, it's that we've had Garnet be the one to say things like that to Steven. Even though Steven has still been pretty chill throughout the show, you still had Garnet say stuff like that to him, so it's very interesting, the shoe being on the other foot, Garnet being not as cool, like the kind of cool cucumber that she usually is, and just having her, about to just knock, Peridot into next week.
And not only just to Steven, by the way, Garnet is the de facto leader.
Yes, very true. So it was very interesting to see that occur. Very interesting. So overall, I think that was a really cool moment. And even though Steven was disappointed and upset, he was, one, very observant, and I like that. Because, again, he's growing. So it's not like he's just, last season Steven. That's a weird sentence. Last season Steven, where he's just like, oh, okay, whatever. It's like, no, he's growing up. And even though he trusts pretty much unconditionally, it's still, when he sees the gem or whatever that crystal is, that he's just like, that's weird.
And
I'm going to investigate that.
He's the only one who does see it.
Yeah.
Because
really they're all so upset and blinded. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was very interesting to have the episode play out that way, and then lead right into the next one, which again, you see it, you start to doubt Peridot, but even in doubting her, she was still trying to do it for them. I don't think it was originally to do it for them. It kind of turned into doing it for them. Right? Let me discuss this with Yellow Diamond to see how we can work this out. But even then, I don't know. It felt like it was a nice way of saying, okay, yes, she's not it's not like immediately. She was just like, it wasn't, the first words out of her mouth weren't, we need to destroy the crystal gems.
Yeah,
right?
It's sort of a testament to the fact that she's so blinded in terms of looking at Yellow Diamond, because Yellow Diamond is objectively better, that she really believed that by talking to her there was some reasoning, that there was something to be said, like, no, but there's something worth saving here. And so she, in her mind, was doing, not betraying them, but she was actually doing something for them.
At least not at that point. Yeah, I don't know if she was starting off that way, though. That's what I'm saying, to be fair. Right? But at the same time, she didn't start off the transmission with these crystal gems. You've seen them before. We got to bring all the battleships here. That wasn't her first response. It's funny. Arguably, yes, destroying the Earth would have destroyed the four of them as well as, or at least it would have hurt life as well as the four of them. But it wasn't a direct attack at them. It's one of those weird in-between moments where, if her first response coming out the door was just oh, my God, these four clods, right, that is just oh, God, right? Well, there's no turning back now. She's evil. But even in starting off the conversation, it was very much oh, we should definitely, have this cluster thing happen. And, and it's kind of having not only Yellow Diamond, but also their version of Pearl. By the way, that was a line. The line with Pearl and Steven, that was a line that was very much racism, where it's just hey, do you know her? Not all Pearls know each other, Steven.
Yeah, that was a shot.
That was a shot. If anyone's confused, or if anyone's wondering, well, what do you mean by that, Matt? What are you guys talking about? It's just the idea where it's just hey, you're talking to your African American friend. You're just hey, look, there's a black guy over there. Do you? Not all black people know each other.
Mhm.
And it's always this talk, and again, people wondering, but Matt, that doesn't actually happen in real life. Fair point, right? Fair point. You don't really see that a lot. You don't really see that. But it does relate to, let's say, when someone says, oh, we need to stop terrorism that is occurring by some of these Muslim extremists, these Muslim radical extremists, right? And they'll say, oh, what we need to have happen is we need to have these Muslim communities step up and find these people and bring them into us. And it's well, unless some of these are coming out directly from these communities, which some cases have happened, many cases it doesn't, it kind of comes off as every Muslim person knows each other. They'll help us catch the bad guys.
Mhm.
And it's kind of well, no. not every, right? And that's, that's the way it can come off. Where it's just like, we need these African Americans to find these bad guys and bring them in. It's just like, not every, like your brain kind of starts to like, smoke comes out of your ears, like, but not every, but not in all, some are not in beep, boop, boop, right?
Yeah.
So that's just the idea. That's just the idea of, not every Pearl knows each other, Steven. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, shit, they just did that. It's like, oh, shit. Whoops. But it was a very interesting line. But yeah, so immediately, you have Peridot finds out that both that version of Pearl, that quote-unquote Pearl, and, Yellow Diamond are very much jerks to the maximum degree, just to the nth degree. Like, they're jerks. Not even just the idea of, like, I don't care about the life on that earth, but even just saying, like, I don't care about anything you have to say. You are literally just a Peridot. Shut up. And the way that Steven and all of them treated Peridot as if she could actually speak freely, it, in a way, I guess from, Homeworld's point of view, corrupted her.
Mm-hmm.
Because Homeworld is just like, hey, do the thing. Got it, boss. I did the thing. Good job. Hey, I didn't do it too well. Well, we'll dock you. Sorry. Okay, do better next time. That's just apparently that's just how conversations go. Maybe amongst her other Peridots they're chill, maybe. But when it comes to superior officers and like you said, caste systems, or if you want to talk about it directly, military, there's no room for fun. Not saying military is like that, but in their case it is. There's no room for fun. So, it was very interesting, I think, in Peridot's mind, seeing her shift from, of course, Yellow Diamond, oh my God, amazing, to, like, when I say things to the gems, they may get offended, but then they talk to me, and they let me talk. Right? Like, but this diamond. So, yeah, it was very interesting to see the parallel, see the dynamic, and how the moment she realized, like, wait a minute, you're a Claude. You're all Claudes. Very good moment for her, in my opinion. So, is there anything you want to mention about either It Could Have Been Great or Message Received before we move on to Long Date and kind of wrap this show up?
If only thing in Message Received, I found myself dying at the fact that Steven credited the child safety lock as one of Earth's greatest locking mechanisms, basically.
And that she was so scared by it, I think, was great.
And then I love in the background, as he became bitter, she learned how to work the horn.
And when she learns the tech, it's immediate robot. I loved it. Like, oh, that's how the tech works? And then just fucking robot.
Mm-hmm.
Robot. It's like, God only knows how the car looks now, but robot.
But yeah.
So, now that we're moving on to Log Date 7/15/2, it was great. So that about wraps things. No, I'm kidding. I really, like I said, it was a weird episode to end the season on. But I truly feel like, not only was it fun, but where else could it have gone? Where else in Season 3 was it going to go? Especially if you kind of want things to get a little bit more serious. Where do you put it? So it had to go here. Because if this had been put in, before It Could Have Been Great, yeah, it would have been nice, but it wouldn't have been definitive, right? Because after episode 28, Message Received, I noticed it's like, oh, it's definitive that of course she, is with the Crystal Gems. But, when you're making television that also will be watched by children, most definitely, you want to reinforce certain ideas with certain characters. So I don't know if they got, like, a child psychologist or something to kind of come on and talk to them about it. But the reason why I bring this up is because I remember when myself and Tristan Walter, who currently, I believe, is in Ohio, hope he's safe. He's currently doing, like, a mountainous kind of like, I can't think of the phrase. I'm thinking, what's the, not exhibition. Basically, he's doing a dig site. Kind of like when he was in Africa, which I remember we were talking about on the show a while ago. So anyway, point is that when we did Star Wars episode, I believe it was episode 5 or 6, there was talk of, oh, don't let so-and-so do this, because if they do this, then the kids will be like, oh, no. It's like, yes, when you have Vader saying, Luke, I am your father, right? Or like, no, I am your father. You had to have Yoda actually tell Luke, like, no, he's your father, right? Because if he didn't do that, the kids would be like, but wait, is Vader lying? So they basically were saying that they, being child psychologists who actually talked to George Lucas and the team, were saying that you needed a good guy to kind of back it up. Otherwise, the kids might think, oh, no, but he's lying, right? So when it comes to this episode, this series and this episode, it was smart of them to make another episode kind of reinforcing, like, no, don't worry, guys, she really is good. Because we have to remember, it is a family show. Like, kids are watching. It's not just for us, Like, there are themes that you and I and people our age and a little bit younger than us, teenagers, and even adults are going to pick up on. But, kids are involved, too. This is not in any way. It's on Cartoon Network, right, everybody? In no way is it supposed to be like, the kids can't watch. So, yeah. So, in my long-winded explanation, that is what I was trying to say. So, anywho, I know it doesn't make any sense to you, Satish, because you haven't seen Star Wars. So.
I love Star Trek.
Good for you. Have you seen Star Trek?
No.
All right, fuck you double now. Jesus fucking Christ, pick a side. But anyway, so wait, I thought you've seen the movies, the newer Star Trek movies.
No, I have not.
Okay, so triple fuck you, man. You just keep them coming, Satish. What else have you not seen?
Naruto.
Anyway, that's fine.
Bleach, One Piece.
That's fine.
Power Rangers.
That's not true.
Thundercats. Voltron.
That's true.
I could go on and on, but I don't think we have enough time on the podcast.
We don't. Paradox started shipping characters. Putting it out there.
I swear to God, the Camp Pining
one episode
was the most freaking avid, accurate commentary on the fan base of Steven Universe and of every fandom ever. Just no, the creators are dumb. Obviously, these two are the best pair. Created a fucking chart, and I just loved that was the explanation of Garnet. Just for Percy and Pierre. I'm immediately it clicks, and I'm like, this is the most ridiculous yet accurate way. This is
what I think I loved. What I love the most is just you got all that from one episode. It's subtext, and I'm like, God damn it!
It's the color war, Paulette.
But no, it was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun, and what I do like too is I like how a little bit of it was kind of like a montage that seems like it's a passing of time, with her log dates. So even though she might have been doing this for a while, I still bring up the idea of the log date because of the fact that it's a great way to pass time, let's say maybe 2 months or something like that, right? Without having to sit there and, even if it's just 1 month, or heck, even just 1 week, because whenever new episodes air, they're usually on a daily basis. The Answer is technically the same day as Steven's birthday, right? So not every episode is a different day or a different week. So it's great to have the log date, just have her, say random dates to kind of keep the trend going of oh, good, so time is passing. We can get closer and closer to things that, I'm not going to say matter, but, story progression that involves more action and more drama. That isn't so much character drama, it's are you going to die drama, right? So very high stakes. So it's smart of them to do an episode like this. And again, in my opinion, weird way to end the season. But really, where the fuck else are you going to put it? I did not want this to be, the beginning of season 3, right? Nor would I have wanted this to be, again, 26, because I understand you might want to have something that solidifies her as good before the final battle, or a potential final battle, right? So I liked it. Did you feel like it was a little weird? It was off to just kind of have this be the season finale after season 1's season finale?
Sounds like a feel-good thing.
But I'm saying, did it feel off?
Yeah, it did feel weird for me in the sense of it's a happy episode, but it's not anything. Well, okay, I was going to say it's not anything conclusive, but I guess in the sense of Peridot is now an ally, it is conclusive.
Yes. Yeah. But I know.
So if that's
usually,
the conclusion
again,
they want, it's okay.
Yeah, but again, you and I look at it from a perspective of, conclusive, like you look at part 1 and 2, Jailbreak, and, you look at that. You're like, that's a season 1 ending. Or even when they fought Lapis, that could have been a season 1 ending, Like, both of those are just like, those are season 1 endings, right? But when you look at this one, it was like, this seems like another episode. Nothing bad about it, but it seems like another episode. Yeah. So I'm happy you kind of see where I'm going with that. But anyway, so if there's anything you want to say before we wrap things up, you can say it, and then we will wrap things up.
No, I'm good. I mean, I got in what I need to say.
All right. So here we are at the end of our show. I want to thank you all for listening in. But before you touch that dial, before you leave the show, please remember that we actually have merchandise on our main website, thoseguysontheradio.tumblr.com/merchandise, that you can buy, and it's related to both our podcast and our Let's Plays. You can actually buy them at this time for $25. T-shirts, one shirt per $25. That's how like it works, right? That's how you barter. One for $25. Free shipping, by the way, and buy 2, get 1 shirt free. And also very relevant, we have our eBay as well, which is Those Guys Radio. And on our eBay, we have exclusive posters that you cannot get on our main website. And those posters also have a buy 2, get 1 free as well, and free shipping as well. So, and there are some posters that we have on our main website that you can also get as well. So you have those pieces of merchandise. I mentioned our Let's Play a little bit before because we have our Let's Play on our YouTube channel, Those Guys Play. Currently this month, we're actually doing an episode every single day this month, which is actually kind of new for us, and it's going very well, swimmingly well, scarily well. My fingers are crossed. Good God, let's hope everything keeps on going well. And, of course, it's October, as many of you should hopefully know. And because of that, we're doing Halloween-themed releases every single day. So we have Halloween specials coming out almost every single weekend, as well as other fun little Halloween-themed episodes of Those Guys Play episodes. And we also have Matt Beats Games from his childhood, which is, I am Matt. I am beating games from my childhood. And from that show, I've been playing a lot of really fun Halloween games. I've been playing Fatal Frame, Porky Pig's Haunted Holiday, and now starting, by the time this is out, actually, I've already started playing Misao, which is sadly not from my childhood, so it's branching off into a new series just called Matt Beats Games, which you'll see, again, through our YouTube channel, Those Guys Play, so search that up. And you'll also be able to find a lot of cool, fun other, Let's Play series on there that aren't Halloween-themed. And you can see some of our live streams, which will have older recorded content on the live streams, but usually will be somewhat involved in the comments, so you can leave comments, talk to each other, have a lot of cool fun while watching some of our very interesting style of Let's Play. So, which isn't really that good. But anyway, so Those Guys Play, check it out, or Those Guys on the Radio, which I know you're listening to right now, but we do have a YouTube channel with some of our older podcasts on there, a huge chunk of them, 200 at this point. So you can check it out by searching up Those Guys Radio on YouTube, and you can also go on our iTunes, just Those Guys, and listen to our podcast through there. Or, of course, I'm assuming you're listening to this through Blog Talk Radio, which on Blog Talk Radio, it's Those Guys on the Radio. And if you're wondering, what other shows do you do? What other updates can I get for, your podcast and your Let's Plays? Well, if you want any updates on those, you can go on our main website, which I mentioned earlier, thoseguysontheradio.tumblr.com, or our Facebook, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, our Twitter, which is @ThoseGuysRadio, and our Instagram, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. Also, if there's any inquiries you would like to inquire about, anything you want to inquire about, please check out our Gmail, thoseguysontheradio@gmail.com. And if you're interested in any way of, either donating to us or kind of wanting to get something out of a donation, because that can happen, Stitch, go to our Patreon account, which is TG Productions, and depending on what tier you look at, you could either say, hey, here's money, do a podcast that I'm telling you to do verbatim exactly this, no variations, and we'll talk about it, right? Same thing with Let's Plays. Hey, play this video game, and I want these 2 Let's Players that you have on your Let's Play channel to play this video game. And I'll say, sure, right? Most likely, sure. So depending on what tier you get, you can tell us what game to play. You can tell us what podcast to do. Also, we can sponsor you, or rather, you can sponsor us on the show. I forget how nouns work. The point is that we'll give you a shout out on either our podcast, our Let's Plays, or our TG News show. Which TG News show is TG News. It's nerd news with a fun little twist that you can find on our TG Productions YouTube channel by searching up TG Productions on YouTube. And so we can also give you a shout-out through there as well. And we're bringing a manga over from Japan. That's right. We're licensing, translating, and bringing a manga over both physical and digitally to America from Japan called Give My Regards to Blackjack. If any questions you want to ask about that, please go on our FAQ, which, again, is located on our Teacher Productions Patreon channel. And anything you give, you can secure yourself a copy of the first and second volume, both physical and digital. You can secure yourself a poster and a T-shirt from the series. And those are some really cool goodies, right? Those, depending on what tier you get, those will be mixed in with some other, goodies from, podcasts and Let's Plays and things like that. So a lot of cool, fun stuff that you can get through our Patreon. And, and I finished it, Satish. I finished all of it. Yes. So thank you all, as always. Love that you guys listen in because you guys help us do our thing, So thank fans, Satish. Jesus Christ.
I was thanking my physical fan here. I have a fan here.
Oh. We're in winter. We're in October. It's not, are you okay?
I live dangerously.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So anyway, thank you all, as always, and I hope you live dangerously, but still stay safe.
Live on the edge. Also, thank you all for your continued support and listening or watching and listening, which I believe is required for our YouTube videos.
Yes, right. So many different ways of seeing us and contacting us and getting in, just getting in on the fun. So a lot of cool stuff. So thank you all, and hope you have a great night. So take care, everyone, and say good night, Satish.
Good night, Satish.